Farmageddon should be awesome, but it's not the only Big 12 game kicking off on Saturday. We also have KU and Fresno State at 5 o'clock. I think this was a wise move by Kansas to do this, to show off its new stadium. They want the spotlight. They get Big Fox for this game at 5. You'll get a huge audience for that too. And you get a non-conference game that is, I mean, obviously winnable. I think it's also one that is within the realm of possibility of being losable. I mean, Fresno has been a pretty proud program over the years, but you get an opportunity to win a game in front of a big audience that can see your new shiny stadium that you're showing off. Nothing bad to say about that. I like the move by Kansas to go ahead and do this. But are they a Big 12 title contender? Nobody seems to really be talking about that. I feel like Kansas is kind of in like a tier 3 for most people, probably in the Big 12. There are a lot of new faces on this Kansas roster. People will recognize Jalon Daniels, obviously at quarterback, who's been around since the COVID season. They will not see Devin Neal. They will not see Kobe Bryant. They will not see Mello Dotson. A lot of the names, the stalwarts of the turnaround under Lance Leipold, are now gone, and there are 40-plus newcomers for Kansas this year. And a lot of those guys in the receiver room and in the secondary, that's what has held me back from saying, yeah, I think this Kansas team really, truly can contend for a Big 12 title this year. That has been what has held me back from this. Now, this game against Fresno, there's a lot new on that side, too. I mean, Kansas is like a 12.5 point favorite. Matt Entz comes in from North Dakota State. He's the new head coach at Fresno State. They've got to replace a ton. Both teams, it's just college football these days. You pulled a bunch of kids from the portal. See what happens. You know, you're playing a week 0 game. Nobody really knows. But when you add up, again, you're going, how many hurdles are in the way of being a Big 12 title contender here? One is Devin Neal, generational running back for Kansas, program-defining running back for Kansas, gone. That receiver room, man, Luke Grimm, I saw him doing big things in the NFL preseason the other day. Lawrence Arnold, the guys that they had in that receiver room forever were studs. And then obviously at corner, you know, Jacoby Bryant, Mello Dotson, they were all Big 12 guys in the secondary too. I've heard about all the buzz about Emmanuel Henderson, the Alabama transfer receiver for Kansas. I know they've hit the portal really hard, but to me, like, you are asking an awful, awful lot for all of that stuff to hit for them to be like a 10, 11 win team this year. That's not to discount anything on Jalon Daniels. I'm not trying to take away anything from Daniel Highshaw, who's back at running back, who I think is a good running back. I don't think he's Devin Neal. And I think the odds of that receiver room being at or above where they were last year are very slim. Very, very slim. But what do I know? Because ESPN, again, I mentioned ESPN FPI. ESPN FPI is by no means a perfect metric at all. Okay? Don't get me wrong with that. I'm using this just because it was such an interesting data point. There's another data point from ESPN FPI that I'm going to use later on in the show. But the FPI thinks KU is a legitimate Big 12 title contender. It has KU solidly above Baylor and in 4th place in the Big 12, just a step below BYU and Arizona State, and then K-State was number 1 there. So that's why I started asking the question here to myself, going to challenge myself, challenge anybody out there listening. Are we missing something? Because my fellow media compadres, man, my fellow media compadres in the Gambling Gauchos preseason Big 12 media pool, Kansas was tied for 9th with Houston. With Houston, man. I mean, they smoked Houston last year at Arrowhead. And I guess, you know, based on their overall records last year, I shouldn't be saying it like, oh, tied with Houston. But I think if you take the last like 3 years of what Kansas has been compared to what Houston has been, you would understand why I put a little bit of emphasis on that. So surprising to me. I mean, I'm a little higher on Kansas than that. I think Kansas is like a 7-5, 8-4 kind of team. I don't expect them to compete for a Big 12 title, but I don't look forward to K-State having to play that game at the new stadium this year. I can tell you that much. I think they will be competitive. I think Lance Leipold is just too good. But if you are counting on them being a Big 12 title contender, you're saying Lance Leipold's coaching chops plus, you know, hitting at an A minus to A range at least in the portal with 40 plus newcomers And then you're also, I think, counting on, well, last year it wasn't that we lost Andy Kotelnicki at offensive coordinator. It was that Lance Leipold made a bad hire and Jeff Grimes couldn't get synced up with Jalen Daniels at the beginning of the year, and or Jalen Daniels rust. It just didn't work out. And all of that stuff, all of those dominoes are going to fall, because I think all of those dominoes would have to fall to make Kansas an actual Big 12 title contender. But Lance Leipold, on sheer coaching acumen and ability alone, I think can get them to be a 7-5 team this year, coming back with JD6 at quarterback. So some thoughts there on where Kansas is going.